Welcome to day 4 of the Simplify to Thrive challenge. I'm just making sure that I am up and running. Did something a little freaky there. All good. I kind of got stuck, but I can see that it's going. So hopefully we are. I'm just looking on my phone to make sure that I am up and running. I'm not sure what got stuck there. Technology. We love it when it works, and when it doesn't work, we wonder. There we go. I am up and running. So thank you for joining me. If you have any questions on any of the days that we've had, if you're watching the replays, I'm excited that you're here. And I want to really dive into day 4. Sorry, there we go. I want to really dive into day 4. I'm just getting myself. It's like a Tetris game, trying to get everything so I can see what I need to see when I'm doing this. So thank you for being here live. Thank you for watching the replays. Thank you for participating in the Simple to Thrive 4-day challenge. Today is day 4, putting it all together and creating your traction plan so that you can get the results that you want for the rest of 2025. One more thing to switch over so that I'm actually getting everything in the right place. There we go. Here we go. So first of all, thank you for the work that you've done. Thank you for coming to the sessions live. For those who've attended live, thank you for those who are watching the replay. I really appreciate that you're taking the time to do this and to commit to what you want for your business for the next of the year. And you are awesome. And I want to encourage you to commit to yourself as we go through day 4, to commit to what we're going to be doing. Just a few simple call to action housekeeping things is you have the opportunity to book a complimentary business activator call with me. I've been talking about it throughout the week. It is in your emails. You can go here and book it. And I would love to sit and chat with you and see how you're actually going to put this together. And then my second call to action, which I'll talk about at the end too, is I am running a workshop Q&A session on Monday, September 29th at 12:30 Eastern Daylight Time. And it's the Simple Actions Equal Real Results workshop. And we're going to focus on 6 common mistakes that hold back business growth and how to avoid them. I see them all the time. How can we avoid them? We're going to do an audit of 5 key areas to simplify and create traction. And then I'm going to talk about the sweet spot and why buyers say there should be an S on the end of yes. And then really talk about how I could help you. If you're looking for help, you're looking for accountability and support, different ways that you can work with me to be able to make this happen and really finish 2025 strong. There's a link in your email to join that. If you're part of the if you're part of the challenge, there's a link in your email to join that. So let's get going on this. We have been going over the 4 days. So day 1 was your bold vision. Day 2 was your offer, knowing what you're actually going to offer and really breaking down what an offer is. It's not just what you have. It's much more complicated. I shouldn't say complicated. There's more pieces to it than just the product or services that you have. Yesterday, we talked about shifting those mindsets that are getting in the way. And today we're going to talk about creating your really simple, doable traction plan. And remember, it's different for everybody. We are all different. We are all in different places in our business. And it's okay to be where you want. It's okay to strive for the things that you want in your business. You do not need to look like anybody else. You need to do what's right for you and right for where you are in your business. And we talked about on day 1, what type of business do you want to be? And I use my restaurant lens of what model do you want to be? Because they're all valid in any industry. So do you want to be the low ticket, high volume, fast food kind of thing? Do you want to be that predictable diner? Do you want to be that kind of eclectic bistro? Or do you want to be 5 fine dining experiences? And you can kind of pick and choose where you want to be, but which works for you? I want to be the bistro. I've said that. It's the term I'm starting to use in a lot of my languages. And it's kind of how I created the restaurant lens in the first place, was trying to figure out what I wanted to be. And I want to be that bistro, a little quirky, very unique. You come in and you get just a very unique, high-touch experience that you get at the bistro. And it's a little quirky. Fine dining's not my thing. We're a little quirky. We're very casual, but we have impact and we get things done. And so that's my example of the restaurant lens. And you put together your top 5 success statements and how much you actually wanted to make in your business. And I encourage you to declare it. I'm going to make X by the end of 2025. So putting it out there and declaring it. On day 2, we talked about putting it all together and your money-making offers, and how an offer isn't just your products and services. It's your product and service. It's also your price and packaging. It's your messaging and positioning and your promotion and incentives. That's what makes an offer. It's not just what you offer. It's not just, sorry, and even I'm mixing up the terms, and that's part of the problem with all this. It's not just the products and services that you provide. It is how you put it all together and how you get out there and actually make an offer. And one of the analogies I always love to use is grocery stores, right? They have chicken, and you know, a chicken breast. Well, they have, that's their product or their service. They price it and they package it. You can buy multiple chicken breasts at once. They have a price for it. They have a message and a positioning on their whole store, but then they promote it. You can buy chicken anytime, but it'll be on the front page of their flyer, even though it might not be a highly discounted thing, but the incentive is it's there in front of you. And they've given you an incentive. This price is only there for a week, right? And so those are things that you can, that's their offer for their chicken. And that whole point of the chicken being on the front page really kind of highlights the sweet spot. And the sweet spot is when they are ready to act. So somebody's ready to act, they know, like, and trust you, and your offer is in front of them. And that we can nudge them to ready to act. And I'm going to make this very simple. And the chicken example is that you can, for example, we know, like, and trust our grocery stores that we go to, the places we like to buy food. We know, like, and trust it. They throw the chicken in the flyer on the front of the flyer, or the special deal as you walk in the store. And at that point, you're ready to make meals. We're ready to act. Now, we might not have planned chicken or even thought about chicken if the offer wasn't in front of us. And if it wasn't in front of us at their store, we may have gone to another store that has a better deal on chicken, right? And so as simple as that is to talk about something that we all do, that applies in our industry as well, in any industry, right? So we want to build know, like, and trust, and that can happen in weeks or seconds. We want to have our offer in front of them so we capture that moment when they are ready to act. And for some of us, that moment may take a while for them to be ready to act. Other times people just make decisions quickly. And I was going to say, the reason I always have to get the slide fixed, but the reason I have the ready to go act up is that we can't change it, but we can nudge it. And that's what incentives and promotions do. They nudge the ready to act part of it. And we focused on declaring it, right? I'm going to sell X amount of things by the end of X amount of Y by the end of 2025, and maybe it's a combination. So for me, for example, I've talked about my Scrapbooking Fun Summit, which is the other part of my business. So I am a coach and a business strategist, but I've taken that, partnered with somebody, and we have a very successful event called the Scrapbooking Fun Summit. And we also have the Scrapbooking Fun Circle. So if I look at our declaration for that partnership, we are going to sell, we have our next summit coming up. So that's going to be a big focus on how much we want to sell of that. And then we also have how many membership spots we want to sell in our membership. So we have two different goals, and they are both doable in that 90-day period that we have left in this year. And we'll probably throw in a Black Friday special as well. And so it doesn't have to be complicated. And that is the point of simplifying your business. And then yesterday we talked about who are you being? And we talked about the be, do, have model versus the have, do, be model. And the have, do, be model is, if only I had the perfect fitness trainer, then I could start exercising and then I would be healthy. And the do, be, have model, the be, do, have model, is I am a healthy person. So I am going to start going for a walk every day and eating healthier so that I have my health, right? So it's that flip. I'm really thinking about that. And I use the health example because I think we can all understand that. But business, that's true. You know, if you're going to be a successful entrepreneur, who do you have to be each day? And we're going to talk about and apply that concept as we talk about day 4, putting your plan together. Like, who are you being? What are the things that you're doing? And then changing the narrative for the things that get stuck in our head, right? You know, it's okay to be successful. It's one of the things I find with a number of clients I've worked with is that giving ourselves permission to be successful isn't always there, right? It's okay to be successful. That can be the simple narrative that you change, right? There's just so many out there that I hear. Another big one is, I don't want to disturb people. I don't want to email them. Well, one of the ones that I love to teach is that it's their choice, right? So I'm sending information out to my email. I'm sending information to my audience. They have the choice to read it or not. But if I don't send that information, then they're never going to have the choice. So my narrative would be, instead of, I don't want to impose on them. I don't want to put too much junk in people's email. My rephrasing of that and my narrative of that story is that by providing information to them, I give them an opportunity to transform. They have the choice to stay or not, right? So that's the example of changing the narrative. So let's get going on day 4. I always like to summarize the days because you see how it's building into what we're doing today. So we're going to talk about your traction plan. It's creating an action plan that builds lasting results. And that's what I want you to think about is what am I building to get to the end of 2025 with success? And I want you to put it all together. But I also want to invite you when you're doing this to think outside the box, to color outside the lines, and to really get into messy action, because action creates traction, traction creates results. We can plan all we want, and I'm a really good planner, by the way. We can plan all we want. We can create high strategic plans, but if we don't actually put it into action, that plan doesn't go anywhere. So action is that key to getting the goals that you want in the next 90 days. And why I want to create a really simple plan for you. I want you to think about how can I make this as simple as possible to put that out there so that you can actually get results. And focus on that be, do, have. Who are you being? Because that comes into this as well. Who am I being when I'm actually implementing my plan? And so I want to talk about what gets results. So mindsets are how we're thinking about what we're doing. So our mindset's possible, plus our actions equals real results in our business. And we want to focus on that so we can hit the sweet spot. We can get rid of that overly animated spot and putting it all together in your money-making offers. And so the focus that you have for the next 90 days is number 1 is how are you going to put this together? What are your offers? How much do you want to make? And then what are the actions you need to do to put this together? And I want you to think kind of a little bit about logistics. We haven't talked about logistics, but we always have to have in our mind when we're getting into the actual actions is what are the logistics for potential clients? What's our sales process, right? We want them to buy now, but how are they going to do it? And it doesn't have to be complicated, but we want to think about exactly how we move them through that sales process. And I went through that one a bit too fast, but that's okay. There we go back. So yeah, we want to talk about how we create that sales process. Are you selling through a website? Are you selling through a simple PayPal button? Do they come on a call with you and you send them a link? So what is your sales process to actually sell? And that may be different. For example, I'll go back to talking about our summit. We have a different sales process from selling to our sponsors. It's a very different sales process to our sponsors. We have a different sales process when we are selling the summit. And then when we sell our circle, we have a different sales process. Now they all have similarities and they all use very similar systems. Actually, the sponsorship is very different. The other two use very similar systems of how we do it. But we have to think through that. How is the sales process working? How am I actually getting from them wanting to give me money and how do they actually pay? So always think about that. It can be as simple as a PayPal Buy Me button. It can be a website page. We're all used to that. It could be a conversation and then you invoice them and they send you a payment. Just know what it is. Make it as simple as possible, not only for yourself, but for them. And nowadays there's tons of very good high quality software and ways to do this with PayPal and with Stripe. There's easy ways to collect money. And when I started 20 years ago, there was not. There's easy ways to collect money. There's Google Pay, there's Apple Pay, there's so many different ways these days. But just make sure you understand this and you've mapped it out for yourself and it's as simple as possible. So what I want you to do, and this is that creating your fourth quarter, because that's where we're at. It's September 26th. The fourth quarter starts in a couple of days. I want you to think about creating your fourth quarter plan. And it doesn't need to be complicated. You know, we all think about business plans and stuff like that. And a lot of that complication comes from, you know, needing to go and get financing, which we're not sitting in that situation. If that's what you need, that's a completely different business plan. But really, what is your revenue goal for the fourth quarter? And what offers are you making? And what other goals do you have? Right? And if we go back to our exercise that we did on day 1 and day 2, it could be something like, I'm going to sell 25 spots in my membership by the end of 2025, and I'm going to sell 5 private coaching packages by the end of 2025. And the revenue goal associated with this was making $25,000 between now and the end of the year. So very simple, high level goal. And so mapping that out to capture it, number one, and then we're going to map it out. So the revenue goal is 25,000. I'm going to sell 25 spots in my accelerator membership or 5 spots in my private coaching for this client. My other goals that I want to keep top of mind is I want to grow my list to 2,000. My YouTubes, I want to publish weekly and do that. I want to update my tech stack, and I don't want to work on weekends, right? That's my plan. Don't make it more complicated than that. That's my very high level plan. It's not mine. It's the example of the very high level plan. And then we want to break it down. But before they do that, I want to pinpoint something that I think is really important when we're setting goals. There is a difference between aspirational goals and action goals. And we are creating a traction plan, which means we've got to take the aspirational goal. I want to make 50K, I want to make 20K, and put it into an action goal. What are the actions I need to take to increase the probability of hitting my goal? Of hitting my goals. So an action goal is like post on YouTube once a week. That is an action. If it's measurable, we've all heard about measurable goals, and I just lost the there's a name for them. It will come to me. I'm kind of brain blank there. But recognize the difference between an aspirational goal and an action goal. If we just have aspirational goals, they are never going to happen unless life and circumstances, come about. But action goals are what help us increase our probability of actually hitting the goal. So what are the action goals that you need to make 50K? And that's what we want to break down. And we want to break it down in the simplest way. Right? So we've got this target that we've talked about. We're going to go there. So what are the action goals that we need to do? And I'm going high level here, but you can keep peeling back the onion until you have the goals that you need for that particular week. But we're going to start at the month level. So I want to break them down. So I have a goal. I want to sell 5 private coaching. So what do I need to do? Well, I need to update my sales page. So I have to do my sales page. I need to write my emails. I need to book sales calls or a method so people can book sales calls online. I need to make sure my onboarding is set. There's some things that I can concretely need to do. And then I need to have a campaign, a way of selling this. So that is that offer part of actually going out there and offering. In this case, I'm going to do an email sales campaign. So I need to write the emails and schedule them. I need to reach out to prospects. So maybe I've got a list of prospects that I can do. Or I'm going to ask for referrals. So these are actual actions that I can do to increase my probability of selling 5 private coaching. Right? This is my plan. This is my action. It's my traction plan. Because once you create and get into this, it's very easy for you to redo this month after month or every other month, whatever makes sense. But those are the actions that this person needs to do this. And when you take those actions and you start to map them out, you start to break down what do you need to do each week. Now, that alone isn't a plan because it's just a bunch of actions and I don't know when I'm actually going to do it. So I want to encourage you to break it down to what are you doing each month. So if this person had a revenue goal of 25K, so breaking that down so you know what you're going to do each month so that you can know when you need to do the actions. So in this case, their goal is they're going to make 5,000 in October, 7,500 in November, and 12,500 in December. But how, right? What is the next step of that? What's the next level of that? And that is to go, well, okay, I'm going to make 5,000 in October. So I need to sell 2 one-on-ones. I want to join 1 to 2 bundles, and I need to book 5. I'd like to book 5 podcasts, and I want to update my tech stack. So now I can break that down into things I actually need to do. I can go back to that list of, if I want to sell 2 one-on-ones, I need to update my website. I need to update my sales page. I'm going to send out an email campaign, and I'm going to reach out to prospects. And that's going to flow into this person's plan for November, which is to sell another 3 spots in her one-on-one. And they're focused on the one-on-one, and they're creating an email campaign and promote the challenge that they're creating. So they're creating a promotional strategy to sell their membership in December. And they're going to run their challenge in their membership. So these are the actions, still high level, that they're going to do. But that's a very solid high level plan. Now, there's lots of little actions beforehand. There's a lot of little actions underneath it. But it doesn't need to be more complicated than this. This is a solid, high-level plan that I can work with to actually start knowing what I need to do every day. And that's the key part of this, knowing what I need to do. Now, within the month, we want to take it down a level lower and say, well, what do I need to do that month? How do I take this high-level plan and move it down into what I'm doing on a month basis and what I'm doing on a weekly basis to really put a plan into action? And sometimes we're doing work for the following month, the month of. So November, this particular person, they're creating their email campaign to sell them more one-on-ones, but they're also getting ready and promoting the challenge so they can run a challenge in a masterclass and sell into their memberships the next month. And so you want to map that out and not make it any more complicated than it needs to be. The other thing I want to encourage you to do before we do another level down on that, excuse me, is your daily non-negotiables. And this really becomes, this is the who are you being person, right? What are you being and who are you being with daily non-negotiables? And I think it's so easy for us to get pulled in busy work, in analysis paralysis, in busy work, in doing things that actually aren't moving towards our targets that we want. So having daily non-negotiables and weekly non-negotiables can really help you stay on track. And so I always think one of the daily non-negotiables is, am I doing something today that is going to lead to revenue? So I could be working on my sales page. I could be working on my email campaign. I could be calling up a prospect. I could be out asking for referrals. Am I doing something every day that I can map directly to revenue? It's a great question to ask yourself. If you don't do any of the other non-negotiables, that's a really powerful one. Am I doing something every day that I can say is going to work towards me making money in my business? Because the real purpose of our business is to make money so we can help more people and we can help ourselves and have the lifestyle that we want. So that would be number one. Am I doing something to be visible on a daily basis? Now, if your plan is that your consistency isn't daily, that's okay. But what is that plan? Am I doing something? Have I got that planned? Am I working on my business? You know, it can get really hard sometimes when we've got so much going on that we're working in our business and not on our business. So on a daily, am I doing something, again, that's working in my business? It's just that reminder. Am I working on my business? Sorry. And then maybe there's another one that you have that's unique to you. So what are daily non-negotiables that you can have? I have someone that I know quite well, and one of her daily non-negotiables is actually to do journaling. That's something that helps her personally, that helps her. Other people's daily non-negotiables from a business perspective could be learning something new. You know, I know someone who spends at least an hour every day, actually an hour every day, not sorry, at least an hour every day learning something new. That's part of the, you know, getting with that easily distracted. If I take all the information that's being flooded at me and I put it in a container and say I have an hour today to do that, that can be a great way to do it. And then self-care can come into it. So what are your daily non-negotiables? One of my daily non-negotiables is actually taking an hour lunch. It is a huge reset for me. And that is, it's very rare I don't do that. I have it. It's my sacred time where I get to relax, you know, nurture myself, make sure I've hydrated enough, and just let my mind have a break for an hour. So that's a daily non-negotiable for me that helps me work more effectively and breaks up my day, because I could easily just keep going. So an hour lunch is a big daily non-negotiable for me. Then you have your weekly non-negotiables. They can be, you know, many different things that you plug into your weekly non-negotiables. For example, one of my weekly non-negotiables at this point in time is, and I think I have an example here. So one of my weekly non-negotiables is a YouTube video for the week. So prepping that and putting up a YouTube video, emailing my list at least once a week. This time, email my list twice a week, right? So that can be a weekly non-negotiable. Booking 1 to 3 sales calls. So if I haven't done it, what am I doing towards booking 1 to 3 sales calls? Spending 3 to 6 hours on prep work, right? Whatever it might be, preparing for the next month. But the point is, what are your weekly non-negotiables? What are your daily, what are your weekly non-negotiables? And really commit to yourself and to your business that you're going to get them done. And these are just examples that I'm putting out there. And the next part of taking your goals and breaking them down, this is up to you of how you want to do it. I am a visual person. So for me, I have to see things on a calendar. That, you know, I hadn't done this for a very long time, and I brought it back to myself in July, and it's a game changer for me. I'm visual. Seeing it in a spreadsheet doesn't work. I need to see the calendar, but I also find there is a huge, I don't know, active commitment when I actually do this with a pen and paper versus doing this on electronic. That's me. Everyone is different. But this is an example of really getting that high level sense of what am I going to do. So I'm going to do a flash sale. This is an example of somebody doing a flash sale in the 4th week. So what do I need to do? It's kind of day one. So I've got to work on pre-sale setup, which means I'm going to be putting my websites together. I'm going to be working on the ability for people to join the masterclass. I think this was masterclass when I put this together. And then I'm going to promote like crazy. Right? I'm going to promote my call, my masterclass. I'm going to send emails. I'm going to do a live. I might call a few people. I'm going to promote like crazy. I'm going to do my call, and then I'm going to do my flash sale, and I'm going to focus on clothing. That is a great strategy to sell like private one-on-one coaching, right? You know, with this, let's say on the 5th over here somewhere, like here, I do a master class. Well, I've created a method, and then I'm going to do a flash sale, and then I'm going to focus on closing, and that is a plan for 30 days. And it shows what you need. You can do it however works for you. Like I said, I need to write it down. I need to see what it means. It really helps me. And then I have a Meet Your CEO, which is another of my weekly non-negotiables, by the way. Monday morning, 10 to 11 is my spot to plan my week. And I sit there and I look at last week and I evaluate how the last week went. And then I put it in what I'm doing this week in my calendar, in my agenda. I do this every single Monday morning. And sometimes looking back, I don't do what I wanted to do. And that helps me see and learn. And it really helps with the mindset shift and the action shifts. And sometimes what I do doesn't get the results I want. Sometimes it does. Sometimes it gets better results, right? That's the whole point. But I need a visual. So however it is, take your plan and start mapping it out month by month. I have these, I created these a long time ago and they just work for me. I have this format printed out, and you can say it's from another challenge. Actually, I have this printed out and I use it. I just started to reuse it and I have it mapped out to the end of the year, and things adjust. So I adjust, but from now to the end of the year, I know what my major milestones are and what I need to do at that high level to be able to achieve the next one. So I encourage you to find the way that works for you, but get yourself down to this. This is what's, I know it sounds like a lot of detail, but this is what creates simplicity, because you know what you're going to do, you're focused, you know what you're going to work on, and that's what's going to create traction in your business. And I've lost my mouse. There we go. So the last part of today is I want you to declare it. You know, I want you to declare it. I'm going to make blank by the end of 2020 by selling blank and blank, which we've done from day 2. And I will do this because, and no matter what. So putting some reasons behind it, putting some heart behind it helps you put this in place. So for example, and I also want you to kind of think this is non-negotiable. I'm declaring this. This is what's going to happen for my business. So I'm going to make $12,500 by the end of 2025 by selling 5 spots in VIP private coaching. I will do this because there are people out there who need my help, and I have something special that can help them. No matter what, it's non-negotiable. I'm going to do this. I'm going to focus on this. I'm going to do all the actions I possibly can to increase the probability of hitting those 5 spots. And I'm going to keep doing it until the clock runs out if I don't hit them, right? That's that focus element to it. And another example, you know, continuing with this example that I've been talking about throughout the couple of days, is I'm going to make $12,500 by the end of 2025 by selling 20 spots in my membership. I'll do this because I deserve to have $12,500. And I am excited to help people design their websites. Website example, right? I deserve to have that, right? And I want you to think and declare things so that it is non-negotiable and you actually do deserve this. You deserve to have these things. So think about that. From your day 4 action, I want you to create your month by month traction plan. Get that high level view and get it down to the point where you can kind of see the things you need to do on a weekly basis. And then map on top of that your daily and weekly non-negotiables. You know, they're kind of like the maintenance of your business, which is, you know, so I made a choice to really focus on YouTube. So one of my maintenance, no matter what else is going on, is really trying to, and I don't hit it all the time, I'll be honest, I'm working on that, is really trying to do a YouTube video once a week. I do email my list pretty consistently once a week. And those are those things that you want to have. And what does that feel like for you to create that? And so commit to it and declare it. Well, these are the goals that you have. These are 90 days left. These are the goals that you have between now and the end of the year. And commit to it, declare it, and share your best takeaway from the challenge. I'd love to get an email from you sharing what your best takeaway is from the challenge. Let me know how it went for you, what you were able to achieve. And then finally, please come and join me on Monday for Simple Actions Equal Real Results workshop. It's an opportunity to ask any questions about the challenge and what's been going on, but it's also going to be, we are going to talk about 6 common mistakes that hold you back. 6 common mistakes that hold back business growth and how to avoid them. I can see them consistently when I see people struggling. Whatever I've actually struggled to move my business forward, I can map to one of those mistakes. The growth audit. So 5 key areas to simplify and create traction. We're going to do a quick audit. Where are you sitting on these areas? And we'll help you highlight what you need to focus on. And the sweet spot, why buyers are saying yes, and really focusing on that. So if you have any questions about that, the information about this is in your emails for the people in the challenge. If you're watching the replays, you got here by doing that as well. You can get the information. If you don't have it, just reach out and I will provide it for you by commenting on any of the videos in here. So thank you so much. I appreciate you being here. I appreciate those who have stuck for the 4 days. If you're watching the replays, I appreciate that. And I have no idea what's at the top of that slide. Sorry, it just caught my eye that there's all this like gobbledygook up here. I obviously had a cut and paste issue. So thank you all for being here. Thank you for watching the replays. If you're binge watching the replays, thank you so much for doing that as well. Have an amazing time. Have an amazing end of 2025. And I hope to see you at the workshop. And I was asked, will there be a replay for the workshop? Yes, there will be a replay for the workshop that will go out next week as well. So thank you. Have an amazing time. And I appreciate it. Bye.